Peace, family. Dynasty Mir, search for Uhuru. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. This is a continuation. This is part two of today's topic. We're gonna spend, the next couple months, not too often, but the next couple months, we're really gonna go in on these Voteps. These Voteps who think they are, they think they're smarter than what they really are. They participate in a whole bunch of just political masturbation, intellectual masturbation. They think they're smarter than what they really are. Voteps. Now, once again, what is a Votep, everybody? What is a Votep? A Votep is an individual of African descent. All right, we're gonna unpackage this and break this down. A Votep is an individual of African descent, right? Who only worships his or her ancestors through voting. They only worship his or her ancestors through voting. You'll hear common phrases coming from Voteps. We have to vote because our ancestors died for the right for us to vote. Our ancestors died for the right for us to vote. But our ancestors died for a lot of things. I mean, our ancestors died they just were trying to survive. Our ancestors died because they were tired of slavery. Our ancestors died wanting to escape America for freedom. But for some reason, a Votep only thinks that his or her ancestors died for the right for them to vote, and to be specific, to vote Democrat. Because if you vote, hey, Lou Major, I'm sending you the link. In fact, Lou Major, I'm sending you the link in like 5 minutes. Give me like 5 minutes, Lou Major. Because if you tell a Votep that you voted, we're not going to say Republican. You already know what the response is if you tell them you vote Republican. If you tell a Votep that you voted for independent, they're going to tell you your vote didn't count. Now, hold on, stop the show. I thought our ancestors died for me to have the right to vote. Now, which part, I missed the memo where the ancestors died for us to have the vote, that died for us to vote, but we have to vote Democrat. I missed that part. Where is that part? Can somebody show me where is that part? I'm missing that part. Like, where's that? Can somebody point to me somewhere where our ancestors died and said on their deathbed, where their bones are buried, that if you vote, we died for you guys to vote, but you have to vote Democrat. No other option. Can somebody please show me where I can find this at? Exactly. Lou Major, I'm gonna bring you on here shortly. So your ancestors died, so we will have to, by mandate, vote Democrat. Show me where this is at. And they always like to throw in ancestors. 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 But then, okay, LaShawn Uchenna, Ani, my Igbo sister. I want you to go to a Votep or a Democrat. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go to any black Democrat, right, and tell them that you voted Republican and see what they do. And see what they do. And that's the hypocrisy and the hilarious, and it just makes it so hilarious. And they want no part. I mean, they cry about Black Lives Matter, Black Girls Rock. That's why Black folks stay mad. I'm voting. I'm rooting for everybody Black. What else? What else? What are the other catchphrases that Voteps say? What else? But then, whenever you bring up a candidate having a black agenda, the same Votep that was just Black Girls Rock. That's why Black folks stay mad. Oscar's so white. What else? You know, the minute you bring up a black agenda, these same Voteps will tell you that there's no black agenda because we're for everyone. Black and brown coalition. Minorities. Intersectionality. People of color. So when it comes to vague and abstract things like Black Girls Rock, and that's why Black folks stay mad. You know, we Black, we militant, we Black militants. We got our Black berets. But then when it comes to actual politics and a Black agenda, President ain't the president of Black folks. He's everybody's president. Everybody's president. We are minorities. Black and brown coalition. Yeah, let's get Lou Major in here. Guys, I'm bringing Lou Major in. I'm bringing Lou Major in, you guys. Lou Major, I'm sending you the link right now. Lou Major. But yeah, it's to the point now. It's pathetic. I'm not saying that you should go vote Republican, but right now, Voteps want to argue with you. Okay, they want to have so-called political discourse with you. Really, political masturbation, right? Hey, Christy, A, thank you for the super chat, sister. Thank you for the super chat. And for those who want to Cash App, here's the Cash App right here. Here's the Cash App right here. For those who prefer Cash App. For those who prefer Cash App. You know, right now, Voteps are arguing with you and engaging in political masturbation on why we should vote for the old white Republican who happens to be a Democrat named Joe Biden, and why we should not vote for the old white Republican who used to be a Democrat named Donald Trump. Lou Major, go ahead, bro.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get some more light in.
Okay.
All right, cool. Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. Go ahead, brother. I see the cigar. Go ahead.
You see the cigar? Sorry, man. I'm just loud. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. You know, one of the things that I think this election, for one thing, and I think I'd like to get some feedback from the Black Americans or other Black people who are watching this. I think one of this election shows me 100%, and I don't know if it shows you the same thing, is that one or two things is happening here. Either Black Americans don't actually know their own interest, as in what they actually need, what's going to benefit them. Either they don't actually know their own interest, or this may sound a little controversial, but I think maybe
Lou Major, you Mr. Controversy. I mean, what you mean?
But I think it's very possible that maybe Black Americans may not actually want freedom. And I'm going to tell you why. A lot of things that was talked about up until kind of people started voting throughout this primary has been this talk of a Black agenda. And the biggest part of that talk has been reparations. Okay, reparations. We want reparations. Matter of fact, entire movements have been founded. ADOS, FAB, FBA, whatever they're called. People all about reparations. Now, the only candidate this entire time that has ever explicitly talked about giving Black folks reparations,
Marianne Williamson.
Now, the first thing that I will say is Black people didn't get behind Marianne Williamson. Now, let's go ahead and take that one step further. The candidate that Marianne Williamson endorsed, the candidate that back in the 1960s was marching and went to prison fighting for Black issues, that candidate, the candidate that campaigned with Jesse Jackson in 1988 and helped his campaign, the one person who talked about reparations got behind, Marianne Williamson, Bernie Sanders. Guess who's the one minority group who didn't get behind him? Black Americans. Who did Black Americans vote for?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, who wrote the 1994 crime bill. And if you heard the speech that Joe Biden gave when he was trying to convince people to pass the bill, and matter of fact, Joe Biden's original bill was actually so extreme that Republicans didn't want to get behind it. Mm-hmm. And he had to convince other Republicans to get behind the bill. Joe Biden, the Democrat that Black people just voted for. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden is the one who wrote the banking bill that has so many Black Americans in student loan debt and can't move. That Joe Biden. Now, let's compare that to, say, Bernie Sanders, who wants to provide universal health care. Who is disproportionately in America uninsured or underinsured? Black Americans. Uh-huh. Who he wants to cancel student loan debt. Who is that going to disproportionately benefit? Black Americans. He wants to make universities free. Who is that going to disproportionately benefit? Black Americans. Mm-hmm. We're talking about, this is obviously a guy who not only believes what he's saying, he's been doing it since forever. He's been in politics for 40 years and stood for the same thing. But before he was in politics, was fighting for your rights, right? Black Americans. But Black Americans not only didn't get behind him once, they didn't get behind him twice. And they're proud of not getting behind him. Matter of fact, we're hearing Black leadership, Karen Hunters, the Roland Martins, telling Black Americans, trying to justify the idea of voting for Michael Bloomberg if he was the guy, and then eventually Joe Biden, because you want to get behind a candidate who's quote unquote electable. So when you're going to go ahead and vote in the guy who wrote the two bills that are destroying your lives the most right now, the crime bill and the bankruptcy bill, and that's who you vote for overwhelmingly, then we got to start asking some questions about you. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And I think now after this, no matter what happens, I think any educated person will never take Black people seriously again. Because here's the deal. I think the Roland Martins and the Karen Hunters and the people who push, the Whoopi Goldbergs and the rich Blacks who get on TV and tell Black people to do things that are against their interests, they make a lot of money off of your victimization.
Right.
If you watch Karen Hunter or Roland Martin, all it is about how black people are getting victimized, how unfair it is, police brutality, something that shows how you're a victim.
Right.
And they make a lot of money selling you your victimology, your victimhood. They make a lot of money selling you that. A lot. Not a little bit, a lot. So it is in their best interest to maintain you as in a position globally as a victim, because then they can keep selling you your victimness.
Right.
But the fact that Black Americans, for whatever reason, cannot see this reality bothers me a lot. And I'd like some Black Americans to come on here today and explain to me why that is.
Okay. Any Biden supporters who are in the chat, guys, send me an email. Send me an email. Uhuru at searchforuhuru.com or searchforuhuru@gmail.com. Send me an email so you can hop on and, you know, state your case.
And let me make this clear. Dude, you had College Genesis on the other night or whenever he was on, and he was saying the same bullshit too. And College Genesis is apparently pro-black. He was saying Bernie Sanders doesn't have a chance in hell. He's a socialist, which means that the guy obviously didn't know any of Bernie Sanders' positions, but that's fine. He's an old black dude. He doesn't know that much. He's still, but I'm saying a majority of, there's gonna be a few people who don't know for black people to vote for Biden at a 60% clip. I need an explanation for that. The Latinos, they're not even originally from here. And they were able to have enough common sense to understand this is in my best interest. Why can't you figure out your own interest? Somebody explain that to me. I just would like some. I'd like some answers.
Barry Simmons, call in, Barry Simmons, call in, guys. Listen, if you're in the chat, you disagree, go ahead and call in. You can hide your face. Go ahead and
let me say this: I'm not even here to debate. I actually genuinely want to understand this. Because I tell you what, man, I am tired of hearing about black victimhood, man. I'm just sick and tired of it. Because I'm black and I'm nobody's victim. But when you vote for the person who put your mothers, your fathers, your brothers in jail for years, when you vote for the person who's got you in student loan debt and you can't get out, when somebody is offering you free health care, when somebody's saying to you, do people understand that Bernie Sanders wants to legalize marijuana and prioritize black people who went to jail for marijuana as being the first to get licenses so they could sell marijuana? Do black people even know that? Do black people even know that they are disproportionately on Social Security when they retire? And Bernie Sanders wants to expand Social Security benefits while Biden wants to cut Social Security benefits? You literally just voted directly against your own interest. Who does that? Somebody explain that to me.
There's no explanation for it. I don't know.
There gotta be. There damn sure better be, because then nobody could get mad when some racist cuck like Richard Spencer goes on and says, "Oh, black people are stupid," and y'all get offended and start yelling and start saying racism. Don't tell me that there's no explanation, because there better be one, because that means you just proved every white supremacist right that you guys are a bunch of fucking morons.
Come on, don't cuss. Come on, try not to cuss. Come on.
I'm sorry, man, but I'm black, man. You have to understand this stuff affects you, Dinus. It affects me. It affects all of us. People say, why do the Democrats not respect us? They don't respect you for 4 years.
Guys, if you want to call in, send me an email. Search for uhuru@gmail.com. Search for uhuru@gmail.com. Send me an email. Okay, it's right there. Search for Uhuru.
And here's the deal. Don't come here to try to personally attack me. Come here and explain this to me. That is all I'm saying. I'm not even going to debate with you. I'll just sit there and listen. Don't try to make ad hominem attacks as you ain't got a point. That only shows that you're emotional and stupid.
Don't use the "what about Haiti" deflection, okay?
Because at this point, this ain't about Haiti. This is about you voting against your own goddamn interest. This ain't about Haiti. Don't bring up my country. Let's talk about you voting against your own interest. Voting for your own oppression. Don't come to me with Haiti today. This is 100% you. You made those choices. Your people went to those booths, stood in line, and voted for a man who wrote a bill that sent millions of you to prison. You went and voted for a man who wants to cut Social Security that probably somebody you know depends on to survive. You went and did that. This ain't about Haiti. This is about you. So you need to explain why you would do that. So you can keep not having health care. So your women can continue to die at birth at a rate of 3 times to everybody else because they're not properly insured.
Mm-hmm.
You need to explain to me why you voted for your own student loan debt and why your kids are going to have to go and take out student loans too so they can go to college. This ain't about Haiti. I don't want to hear that stuff anymore, man.
Okay, here we go. We're going to call you Lou Major Damas. Nostradamus's nephew. How is this going to end in the next, I would say, 4 or 5 years for Black people in America?
Man, I'm sorry, man. Bro, here's what's going to happen. Joe Biden, he may or may not get this nomination. I'm not sure he'll actually win because the guy is not.
You think?
But let's just say he wins.
No.
The nomination. He's going to get smashed by Trump. Have you heard Joe Biden speak, by the way? Have you, Dinus, actually heard him talk?
You know what? This is the thing. I'm looking forward to the debate between Trump and Biden. That shit is going to be comedy.
It's gonna be brutal. Okay, the guy just confused his sister for his wife. But he's gonna get smashed by Trump. Then Trump's gonna have another 4 years.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but let me explain something to you. You're not going to have another opportunity at a Bernie Sanders candidacy or a person who's going to come with those types of policies for at least 25 years. If Black people are relevant 25 years from now, and that is a huge if, their vote will be so insignificant by that time because they'll be replaced by everybody else. And I'm going to explain something to you, man.
Break it down.
You go to Atlanta, it's flamed the fuck out, full of faggot Black people. You go to Chicago.
We can't say that word. We can't.
Okay, gay, homosexual, whatever the fuck you want to call
it. We can't say that word. Let's see here. Dinah Samir's views. I'm sorry. Lou Major's views and opinions aren't the same. Let me get this disclaimer. It's something like this. How does this disclaimer go? The views and opinions of Lou Major are not those. Do not represent Dinah Samir. Search for who? Okay, go ahead, Lou Major. Go ahead. I just had to get that disclaimer.
So no problem. So here's what's going to happen.
Go ahead.
Right now, what I've been watching happen to Black America is that they have been allowing themselves to maintain a victim position. While they're sitting there focused on their victimization and how they feel powerless, popular media is feminizing them. You have more and more of them accepting homosexuality, transgenderism. It's going to get to the point where Black Americans are going to literally be, and oh, by the way, they have convinced Black Americans to voluntarily disarm. 55 years out of apartheid. You're 55 years out of apartheid and you want to voluntarily disarm. So here's what you're literally trying to, in process of doing. And you're voting for this, by the way. You, Black Americans, are voting for this. You are vulnerable because you have no weapons and barely know how to use them. Your men are becoming feminized. More and more of them are becoming homosexual and transgender. Your women are voluntarily giving themselves over to white men because they're so desperate for love from their men. You have a divide between Black men and Black women right now where Black women hate Black men and Black men hate Black women, while at the same time you have a Black male population that is feminized, disempowered, and stupid. If you really think You have a future. At this point, you have got to be the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. And then you have the audacity to get mad at black immigrants who come to your country and succeed, and you've been here and you can't. Well, you voting for Joe Biden just showed you why. So I will say this, stop blaming black immigrants for you being a failure. Because you don't even know what's in your best interest. You don't even know what's good for you and your own children. You don't even know that. And you're going to get mad at somebody who comes into your space and succeeds because they're smart enough to know their own interest. Look, man, this was a layup. This Bernie Sanders thing was a layup for black people.
But you know what's crazy? Last election, Roland Martin, Donna Brazile, black people sabotaged Bernie.
Exactly.
But then they want to blame Russian bots for Miss Hillary.
My point is, this was a layup. It was a layup. And Theodore Williams, yeah, you're right. Homosexuality is all over the world, but it does. Don't you find it kind of unique, interesting that nowadays, every single time they present a gay black man, a gay man, he's usually black. The promotion of homosexuality to your community.
So the next,
but you're gonna make an excuse.
Yeah, but the next superhero is supposed to be black
and gay.
I mean, and gay. Yeah. The next.
Okay, can we stop, please? Can we stop with the excuses, please?
And listen, College Genesis is in the chat room agreeing with you. So if Kyle is agreeing with you.
If Kyle was saying yesterday, well, there's no chance in hell Bernie wins. Well, there's no chance in hell Bernie wins if you don't vote for him. Bernie Sanders has 70% of the Latino vote up to this point. Actually, I think it might be closer to 80. 70, 80%. That means Latinos got together and was like, yo, we need free healthcare and free education for our kids. Let's get behind this guy. Let me explain something to you. If black people had voted for Bernie Sanders at 55%, 50%, forget that, 50%, Bernie Sanders would already have the nomination. He has 40% of working class whites, 70% of 70 to 80% of Latinos. The only group he's missing is you. But you're gonna not vote because you don't think you could win when you're the reason he doesn't win? Like, that's crazy to me.
1 second, Theodore, I disagree with you, bro. It's definitely out of control. When a 12-year-old when a 12-year-old can decide that he wants to be a woman, 12-year-old.
Why is it Snoop Dogg's son taking pictures in drag? Why is it Will Smith's son taking pictures in drag? Stop. Why is it? No, stop making excuses.
I mean, somebody needs to have heart to heart with these brothers. Like I used to be, I was trying to get into the industry and I left because of that reason. Like, it's just, they don't know any better. They try to market it as it's art and entertainment. It's okay. It's art. It's expression. But they don't know the effects of
Why is it Pharrell? Why is it Pharrell getting on magazines talking about the new masculinity in some yellow dress? No, this is targeted, man. If you can't see that, then you're crazy, bro. I'm not saying that everybody don't have their gays. They're everywhere. Dude, it's targeted, man.
I agree. It's targeted. I already know this.
And you let them. We black Americans let them. They let, and you know who's the biggest pusher of that shit, bro? Our sisters, man. Yeah. I hate to say it, it's the black women. They embrace that shit like nobody's business. But they wonder why there's not enough men. You know what's gonna happen? 50 years from now, white people are gonna be fucking black people in both ways. It's like they're splitting you up. The white gay men are saying, let me get the men, and the white men are saying, let me get the women. And they're getting you to volunteer for it. I wonder how history is gonna look upon you. How's history gonna look upon you? And you want to sit there and keep making excuses. You shoot each other in the streets. You can abort your own kids. You don't support the institutions your ancestors actually died to build. And then you get mad at other people because they succeed. And then you get a layup. And you can't figure that out. Explain this to me. I need an explanation. I'm hearing crickets right now. I'm waiting.
If you guys disagree with Lou Major, I mean, I'm waiting for people to call in. Again, here's the link.
People got on me want to talk about my country, man. Listen, man, Haitians ain't doing shit like that, bro. Haitians got all types of problems, man. And I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit that. But shit, man, this is ridiculous. You can't vote your own interest. Your own interest. Like, for real. I need an explanation.
I'm waiting for somebody to call in. Somebody asked for the link, but they haven't came on.
It's always easy. It's easy. And let me tell you something, Dynas.
Go ahead.
Here's the real.
Go ahead.
I'm saying they didn't vote for their interest, but on another angle, I really think those black people did vote for their own interest to maintain the status quo.
Oh, we are definitely
because under the status quo, you could always claim you're a victim. It's never your fault. It's always somebody else's fault. It's the white man's fault. It's the black immigrant's fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's never you. Of course, it's never you, right? So if we maintain the status quo by you voting for Joe Biden, then you could keep saying you're a victim. And so therefore, it's never your fault, right?
Let me ask you this, Blue Major. Should black men who are serious, like really serious, should they opt out of America and just focus on Africa? Like, should they continue to hold on to assets or anything here in America and completely just shift to Africa? Like, what are your thoughts?
Man, there's a couple of options here, man. I think Africa needs to be a heavy part of your plans. And I understand. Look, man, I live in Africa, and I fully understand and accept the reality that going to Africa is a huge.
O'Shea, call in, O'Shea. O'Shea Duke Jackson. Put down the lube and stop watching Pornhub. Call in, O'Shea. Call in. Get yourself O'Shea and call in.
That is a hard change for a lot of people, and I could get that. I'm not too hard on black Americans who's like afraid to move to Africa. I get it, especially if your whole life you've been a worker, or what people would call an 85%er. Now, I'm not going to get into the 85-15 breakdown, but most black people are what you call 85%ers, workers. They're part of the worker class. And so it's very hard. If you got to go to Africa, you have to transition from being an 85%er to a 15%er, meaning you're part of the mercantile or ownership class. Because that's what you have to go down there and do. You have to go down there and build. You have to build it, right? So I could fully understand how some blacks might have a hard time with that. But what I will say is there's nothing that stops black Americans, if they want to tomorrow, to build their own shit. I said it last time. Everybody talks about problems. I'll talk about solutions, man. There is all types of cheap, plentiful land in Nevada, West Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Alaska, Maine. The list goes on and on. Where black folks could put their money up, buy 300-400 acres of land, and build their own communities, their own towns. They can do that shit tomorrow. Here's the thing. I don't think black people actually want to do that. I think black people in America, black Americans in particular, they want to hang out. They don't want to go through the hell, the hardship that it will take to build your own institutions. Because it's hard to build a town.
All right.
It's hard to build your own schools. It's hard to build your own infrastructure. It is easy and comfortable to just live under a white man's system. Just think about this. The majority of black people still live in the South. They still haven't moved. Some moved and went to the Midwest and the East Coast and West, but a majority of blacks, they still live in the South.
Let me stop you right there. There was a great migration to the West Coast, but now they're all leaving the West Coast.
Right, I get that. But what I'm saying to you is, they're making active decisions on their part to not build their own shit. Like, why can't Black Americans who don't want to leave and go to Africa build their own towns, their own cities, and import and do all their business out of Africa? Like, for example, why can't Blacks go ahead and buy, say, 1,000 acres of land in Ghana, which is not expensive, or in Kenya, which is not expensive? Pull your money together, build coffee. I'll use the word plantation, even though that's offensive to some Black Americans. Grow coffee and distribute African coffee in the United States. Why can't Black people make themselves the coffee people? Build entire towns and economies off of that. Why can't they manufacture their own clothing lines in Africa and sell them in the United States market and use hip hop to promote it?
Okay, one second, Little Major. Guys, hit that like button. Again, hit the like button. Stop being stingy with just likes. Please hit the like button.
I mean, the reality is nobody's stopping them from doing that shit.
All right, go ahead.
No one is stopping Black people from doing that.
Right, hold on, Little Major. Just think. Go ahead, just think. Unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Yo, Lou, man, you really gotta understand the history of Black Americans, bro. I really think you don't understand the history, man. Like, if you understand what they've gone through, like, I know that sounds kind of like weak, like an excuse or whatever, man. But I mean, you know, I'm not even gonna speak on slavery, bro. I'm gonna speak on Jim Crow. I'm gonna speak on, Jim Crow, gentrification, segregation. You know, they went through so many things, man. Like, I feel like, as a result of that.
Hold on, just think. What does that have to do with voting for Joe Biden?
Thank you. You got that before me.
No, let me. No, one thing I will say though, I totally agree with you. I personally feel like Black Americans need to, like, kind of remove themselves from the whole political process and just build themselves up. Like, voting, given the current economic situation in America right now, doesn't make any kind of sense. Like, for them to have any kind of power, for them to voting to really have an impact in the Black community, they really need to shore up their economic base, and that does obviously include going to Africa, et cetera. But you can't say, "Oh, why aren't they doing this?" Like, think about it, right? Think about Black Wall Street, for instance, right? They let slavery. I'm a land. Let me land. Let me land.
Let him land.
Let me land, bro. Let me land. Okay. I mean, you got to understand the psychological ramifications of, like, 50 years, 40 years outside of slavery. You build yourself up to this level for it to all be bombed by the government, right? And then you're getting lynched. You're getting redlined. You never got your 40 acres and a mule. You're just constantly being harassed. Man, there's a great book that I suggest a lot of people should read called The Cost of Being Black in America. It'll really highlight a lot of the things that I'm talking about.
I've read it. It's a good book. I have it right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you should totally understand, man. It's deep, man. Like,
I understand your struggle.
That's deep. I'm Nigerian, though. I'm Nigerian. I mean, I got put onto this. I sounded like you. I was like, man, why can't they do this or that? But when I really understood the struggle, I was a little bit more empathetic and understanding.
Here's the deal. You could be empathetic to the struggle, but what does that have to do with, and listen, let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
Black people are the most important voter base to the Democratic Party.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 30% of the population.
How powerful? Just think, listen. If just 12% of Black people don't vote Democrat, Democrats lose. Joe Biden is winning the Democratic primary because of Black people. That's it. So the reality is, this one isn't an oppression issue, isn't a history issue. This was an active choice. And let me explain to you how active this was. This was literally status quo, because Joe Biden literally said, I'm going to maintain the status quo. He didn't even lie about it. and then Bernie Sanders said, this is what I'm going to do for you. Here's my record on these issues. I'm serious. So we could say all of this stuff, but that still doesn't explain why you would vote against your own interest.
I mean, I feel you on that. I mean, again, like I said earlier, I feel like
look, all of the fucked up shit that's happened to them. You know what? A black American, yes, it's true. Fucked up shit happened to black Americans.
Yeah, dude, it's like deep, man. It's deep, man.
But explain. But that would mean you would take your vote more seriously.
Hold on.
You would vote for your interests more aggressively.
I'm about to mute you. Hold on. I'm about to mute you. Hold on. Guys, let's stop with the Haiti deflect, okay? Let's stop with the Haiti deflect. All right, stop. Don't come out here talking about Haiti right now, okay? Because
this is not about Haiti.
It ain't got nothing to do with Haiti.
It's your own interest. You did that yesterday. No, not yesterday. So that's 2 days ago. You did that. So it's not. This has nothing to do with Haiti.
You know, one thing I would like to know, though, one thing I would actually like to know is the breakdown of the voting. Like, was it like older black people that voted, or was it younger black people? Like,
black people voted.
That's what I want to figure out. Because I can see older black people kind of cooning out and doing that. But I mean, younger black
people voted for Biden at like 80 or 90%.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I can see that.
Younger blacks voted for Biden. 50%.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's why it ended up being 60%. That's what's insanity.
Yeah.
Hold on. Just think. Thank you for coming on, brother. I just want to get some other people on there, but just
you good, man. Hey, man. Peace.
All right, for sure, brother. For sure. All right. Mufasa, I'm about to send you the link. All right, John Jukes, go ahead. John Jukes. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see here.
Again, man, I really genuinely want a genuine explanation. Don't make ab habit attacks on Haiti, because this isn't about Haiti. This is about you voting. Because here's the deal: if we want to make a comparison to Haiti, what's happening in my country right now is that Haitian people are on the streets rebelling against their government because their government is not acting in their interest. And by the way, Haitians have done that over and over and over again for the past 60 years. So, my people are poor. You can say that. My people are all this shit. You can say all that. But you know what they're not? Dumb enough to vote for against their own interest. There you go.
All right. Mufasa, brother, Mufasa, I sent the link. Let's see here. Jasmine, I sent the link to you as well. Cabone, I just sent you the link too. I'm going to get some more brothers on here. John, let's see if John, can you hear us? Can you hear us, John? John Jukes. Hello? Okay, something's wrong. Something's wrong. All right. Go ahead.
That's it right there. Now, look, man, black folks have been voting Democrat since 1965. I understand why they changed to Democrat, because of Lyndon B. Johnson, who was a racist, but he did do some shit for black folks. All right, cool. I'm not even saying vote another party, man. You have a guy, because the primary is not over.
Hold on, stop.
Like, this is crazy, dude. This is insane.
Hold on.
Like,
Hold on. CEO DNP. I want you to call in. Shout out to DeMarco Davis, everybody. CEO, like, if you guys are talking trash in the chat room, okay, I need you to call in, all right, and refute whatever, brother.
This is not a refute thing. I just want an adequate explanation for that. That's all I'm asking for. Just an explanation. Everybody says to me, I'm not Black American because my parents are Haitian. All right, cool, fine. Just give me an explanation.
Mufasa, brother Mufasa, can you give an explanation?
Yeah, well, no, I can't give an explanation on why we voted for Biden, because I don't agree with that. But
Mufasa,
of course,
you're going in and out, but go ahead.
Lou, can you?
Hello. Okay. All right, go ahead, Lou.
Again, man, I'm just here waiting for an explanation. I'm not here to bash black people. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am upset. I am frustrated. I am very, very frustrated. Right. But at this point, saying bad shit about Black Americans ain't gonna get me nowhere, because nobody gives a shit about what apparently some Haitian American is saying. Now I'm saying, all right, well, explain this.
Right.
That's it. That's it. And I'll wait here. I'll wait. I mean, I'm guessing whatever time zone you're in. I just want to know why. I want to understand why. Why would you do that?
Let me ask you, how do you feel about Black Trump supporters?
I could understand why a Black man might support Trump. I don't support Trump. I want to make that clear, but I could understand. Because at the very least, maybe when the Black Trump supporter might say, you know what, this entire system doesn't work for me, and if I could get a gangster in there to blow the whole shit up, it's better, and start something else, that's better than maintaining the status quo. Mm-hmm. So I could understand why somebody would say, fuck this shit, I've been with the Democrats, I've been doing this all this time. Trump at one point said, look, what do you have to lose? And he was right. And I could understand a few Black people saying, all right, man, I'm gonna do that, because at the end of the day, what do you have to lose at that point, right? Maybe he'll blow the whole system up, and maybe there'll be something different. I could understand why, but I'm not saying that's the right, but I could at least understand that. I cannot understand this.
All right, go ahead, Mufasa. Go ahead, Mufasa. Go ahead. Mufasa. Mufasa. Mufasa, we can't hear you. Listen, I'm not sending you the link. Email me, search for, I keep putting the instructions in the chat room. If you want to get on, email me, search for uhuru@gmail.com. Search for uhuru@gmail.com. All right, the real Olivia Pope. Oh, God, I wonder where this is going. Go ahead.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Olivia Pope. Go ahead.
First of all, what was that for?
Olivia Pope. I mean, you know the role Olivia Pope plays. I mean, I already know what the Olivia. Go ahead, the real Olivia Pope. Go ahead. Go ahead.
She obviously admires the character, bro, for her own reasons.
Okay, go ahead.
You can't just say, okay, go ahead. I literally just clicked on the link. I'm listening to the conversation. I'm not ready to speak yet. I'm not sure where you guys are, because I just clicked on the link. So I'm not sure where you guys stopped at.
I stopped at, give me an explanation for why Black Americans made the choice, because this is 100% a choice, to vote against their own self-interest in such a blatant and obvious way on Tuesday.
Well, let's start with the fact that Bernie Sanders, is he actually Jewish? Because I heard he was, but I'm not really sure.
Oh, yes, he's Jewish.
Okay. So Bernie Sanders did a panel not too long ago. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. And in that panel, he said that he didn't want to speak on reparations for the Black community, that he didn't think it was possible or important. So I think that that's when he lost all of those votes. Now, about the college debt, I agree with that. I went to college, so I understand that that would have been a good thing for America to have done, for us to have the debt wiped away.
Yeah. By the way, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What has Joe Biden said about reparations?
I don't know what Joe Biden said about reparations.
Nothing,
I don't follow his politics.
I can answer that for you. Nothing. And in addition to that,
his politics, so I don't know.
But in addition to that, so you're saying that Bernie Sanders lost the Black vote because he said, now I don't know if he said this, but I'm going to believe you. Let's say he said that that reparations for Black people is not realistic or possible or important. All right, fair enough. Let's run with that. Okay. Marianne Williamson, the only person who proposed reparations, went ahead and endorsed it. But let's add to this. You're going to go ahead and not vote for a person who wants to wipe your debt away so you could go buy a house, who wants to make your kids' future college education free so you could have generations of educated Blacks, wants to make healthcare free so you don't go bankrupt because you got sick. Okay, wants to go ahead and legalize marijuana and wants to prioritize black people so that they could be first in line to get those licenses to get into marijuana. Do you understand that Bernie Sanders' legislation would have created generations of black millionaires?
I understand
Do
what
you
you're saying.
know that?
I understand what you're saying, but to say
Okay,
that
so
Bernie
you're
Sanders,
saying because of the fact he said he doesn't back reparations, you're going to vote for somebody who also doesn't back reparations and has policies that directly hurt you and people you know. Because you understand that black people are disproportionately on Social Security. He wants to cut Social Security benefits. Black people are disproportionately uninsured or underinsured. Black people are disproportionately in student loan debt, have more student loan debt than everybody else.
I understand all of that. But what I'm saying to you is, do you believe that Bernie Sanders is this savior of black generational wealth?
No,
do you think that can happen?
Nobody who's going to save you. You have to save yourself. And part of saving yourself is knowing your own interest. There's not going to be a black savior. Nobody's going to come and save you, especially not some white guy. You have to save yourself. Nobody's going to save you. You've been waiting to be saved for 400 years. No one's going to save you. You save yourself. Okay? At the very least, though, you can't even begin to save yourself if you don't know your own interest and vote for it.
I understand what you're saying, but
can I point out that people like Karen Hunter, Roland Martin, the likes, were trying to say that we should give Michael Bloomberg a pass if he's the nominee, even though he actually recently was defending redlining, was recently defending stop and frisk, literally said that 95% of all the murderers are young minorities, 16 to 25. And he literally said that we put all the police in black minority neighborhoods. And your leaders was going to try, if he had been the nominee, would have told you to go ahead and vote for him. In fact, we're already prepping you for that. So don't give me, well, Bernie Sanders 3 years ago said reparations isn't important, so therefore I'm not going to vote for him. Joe Biden wrote the 1994 crime bill. Do you remember? Do you know what he said?
Lou Major, let the sister speak. Go ahead, Olivia.
Go ahead. No. I like to listen because I like to gather everything that I need before I talk. So
this is the last thing I'm going to say. If you're offended by what Bernie Sanders said, then you should be 10 times more offended by what Biden said about black folks in 1994 when he was defending the crime bill, saying that these people are animals and need to be kept away from our grandmothers and grandfathers. Sure, I don't care if we made them. I don't care the history that happened to them. Maybe we did make them, but these people are violent and they're animals, and we need to keep them away from our grandmothers and our grandfathers and our daughters and our children. That's what he said. He said that. So if you're going to be offended by saying reparations isn't important, okay, fair enough. But you voted for Joe Biden, though, and he said that.
Okay, baby, I need to clear something up for you. I never said that I voted for Joe Biden or anybody.
I'm saying you as in Black Collective.
I'm not the Black Collective.
Okay, so you're supposed to be on here giving me an explanation for why you Black Americans voted for Joe Biden, because that's what I'm asking for. When I say I'm asking for this, I'm actually asking for this genuinely. I really want to understand.
And I gave you a possibility of what was going through their head. What little thing could have made them want to vote for Bernie? I mean, not want to vote for Bernie over Joe Biden. Okay, some of them were saying that. I don't care anything about any of those things.
Real Olivia Pope, anybody that's voting for Joe Biden, the last thing on their mind is reparations.
I know that. Definitely. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that could have been a reason why that they did not vote for Bernie Sanders. It's because that he said that. We're talking about the Black community, correct? And a lot of people that are a part of ADOS, they are big on reparations. If Bernie Sanders says something about not wanting to go through with that, then of course they probably backed up. And another thing, a lot of people are looking at this in a classism way. They're looking at this as who has the big enough guns to go up against Trump. And they don't think that Bernie is strong enough. So that's the second reason why that they feel like that. But I'm not saying that that's how I feel. I'm just saying if we're speaking from that perspective, then that's what I would say.
Cool. Olivia Pope, sister, we appreciate you coming on. Let me get somebody else on. Thank you, sister. Thank you for calling. Thank you so much, sister. All right, let's see.
I certainly hope that Olivia Pope's reason isn't the real reason, man, because damn.
All right, Darius Smith. Hold on.
God,
Darius Smith, go ahead.
damn.
Darius Smith.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. Go ahead.
Awesome. So I want to attempt to answer Lou Major's question from an African American, Black American standpoint. Also speaking as a millennial. So from what I see from this whole primary election, that because of Bernie Sanders' position on healthcare, because his position on free education, and also eliminating student loan debt, that spoke a lot to a lot of millennials. So as you can see, a lot of millennials was really backing Bernie Sanders. So from what I can see here is that my observation, it was split. We talk about Black America now. All right. One thing you did say that if you look at it, he didn't win a lot of the South, and most Black Americans still reside here in the South. And just to let you know, if you look at the whole situation, it was pretty much split. So you have your millennials, okay? You have your Black millennials. I think a lot of Black millennials will probably go in for Bernie Sanders, okay? Because they resonate more with us. Then you have your baby boomers, the older Blacks, okay? We're going to call them baby boomers. So you have them, okay? It's pretty simple. Unfortunately, here in the South, probably more Black baby boomers that probably did not go to college, or it does not resonate with them. And when they see Biden, they see Obama. They see that he was vice president for a year. So it's kind of like they resonate with Biden when it comes down to Obama. So you have that. Then also at the same time, so that resonates more with them. And not only that, they look at him as someone that probably can beat Trump. They don't care about the student loan debt. They don't care about the education. And probably healthcare, yeah. But if a lot of them on Medicaid and Social Security, they probably already have that covered. So for the most part, you have more of these Black baby boomers in the South that's out there voting. They say, hey, you know what? I connect more with Biden than I do with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders does not speak with me. So not only that, but then you have, what about the Black millennials? I mean, are they going to go out there and vote? So you have more of them, baby boomers out there just voting, as opposed to the millennials. So that's what I think you see here. When you look at a lot of the counties, you look at all the southern states that he won, Biden pretty much won the Black baby boomer of the South, pretty much. That's what I'm looking at.
Let me say two things. Black Americans are disproportionately dependent on Social Security than any other racial group. Social Security is a really good program, especially for Black Americans. Joe Biden wants to cut Social Security. So in that sense, the baby boomer Blacks, again, voted against their own interests. Let's say they don't give a shit about their grandchildren going to college and getting their student loan debt removed. Let's say they don't care. That's weird, but let's just say they don't care. They do care about their Social Security, don't they? Because he wants to cut Social Security.
Here's a great question. What about taxes? Because obviously, if Bernie Sanders on these programs, taxes is going to go up.
Yes, but again, this has been explained multiple times. Right now, Americans who pay for insurance, which is pretty much everybody, already pay a tax. They pay a tax. You pay a tax to an insurance company. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Bernie Sanders was saying he's gonna lift tax progressively across the board, and on average, unless you're super rich, you're going to pay less for healthcare, and you're going to get more benefits. Because right now, you already pay a tax. The average, let's say you make $60,000 a year. Okay, the average family of 4, that means husband, wife, 2 kids, pays $20,000 a year in for health insurance, with a $5,000 deductible and copays. On the Bernie Sanders plan, $20,000 a year gone. You probably would have paid about $10,000 a year additional in taxes, but not paying those premiums, and no deductibles, no copays. You pay no more than $200 a year for your health care. By the way, free college. Student, do you understand that most Black Americans right now cannot buy houses for credit problems, but the biggest credit killer for Blacks right now is 2 things: healthcare and student loans. So he would have literally overnight, had he gotten his stuff passed with Black Americans' help, would have made a whole bunch of Black people eligible for mortgages. That would have created generational wealth. Oh, by the way, criminal justice reform. He would have gotten a lot of Black people out of jail, changed the laws, legalized marijuana, and would have given you, Black Americans, priority.
Okay.
And because of the fact you were disproportionately damaged by those laws that Biden, the guy you just voted for, made. So therefore, he was going to rectify that by saying that you should disproportionately have the opportunity to benefit from this now new, what would have been very quickly become what will become $1 trillion industry. That means, but under Bernie's policies, we would have had our first crop of self-made Black billionaires. Do you understand what billionaires do for a community?
Yeah, and everything.
What do they do for a community, Lou Major?
When you have billionaires, that means billionaires own institutions. They create jobs. That all of a sudden means now,
Lou Major, I got to stop you right there. Jobs for who?
Let me explain. Our Black, I can't say our because I keep getting kicked out of the Black community because I'm Haitian. So Black Americans, your billionaires right now are not self-made billionaires. So Michael Jordan, he's a billionaire he became a billionaire through being hired by whites.
Okay.
Oprah, same thing. Now, what happens when when you have a billionaire that rose up from his community, her community, whatever, and they're self-made? To become a billionaire, you have to own a large institution, like an Amazon or corporation, something big, something ubiquitous. Now, what that would have done is you would have had a Black person who imagine if you got a Black person in America who owes nobody no money, right, and is worth $35 billion and owns, say, one of the largest marijuana companies in the world. How many Black people, what do you think he can now do for Black America? He can do a lot. And he doesn't have to worry about backlash from white folks. One of the reasons a lot of rich Black people don't do anything for Black Americans is they acquired their wealth not because of Black Americans. They acquired their wealth from white people, so they're loyal to those white people. But when you have a Black person who acquires his wealth without white people, he just acquired his wealth. He can say what he wants and he can do what he wants. I'll give you an example. Out in Nigeria, there's a man named Dangote. Right? He's a self-made Black Nigerian billionaire worth $16 billion. You know what he's doing? For a long time, Nigerians, they had the oil, but they had to send it off to another country, refine it, then they would have to buy that same oil at 10 times the price. Now he's building literally the world's biggest oil refinery that will power all of West Africa, which means oil from Ghana, Nigeria.
Lou Major, real quick, do you think, and then Darius, brother, we thank you for coming on. I'm gonna bring LaShawn on, but Darius, brother, we thank you for coming on, brother. Do you think his oil refinery is gonna be obsolete because everything's going solar for the most part? And
no, it's not. And that is going to have a huge boost for Nigeria and all of West Africa, because it suddenly means that Africans own their own oil and their energy self-sufficient. They don't have to import their energy, and not to mention the jobs. Just probably, I think something like 150,000 direct jobs or something like that from that oil refinery. The indirect jobs. I mean, it's going to be huge for the Nigerian economy. It'll probably, from some projections, it expects that it's going to increase Nigeria's GDP by 10%. 10%. That's huge.
Yeah.
And that's like almost immediate. That's what happens when you have your own billionaires.
Right.
And Bernie Sanders' policies would have created tons of them. Tons of them.
All right, LaShawn, Ebo Quenu.
Peace and blessings. Thank you for having me. I was very hesitant about coming on. I always watch you, and thank you so much for what you're doing on the continent.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I enjoy watching the show. I love the going back and forth. But with all due respect, I had to come on here and address the question that Mr. Majors was stating. First of all, honestly, no one can take you serious with the smoke in your mouth. I can't take you serious.
Come on.
No. I'm being very serious, but I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer. That's true, but I'm going to answer your question. The reason why I voted for Biden.
Oh, this is great. Let's hear it.
I'm waiting for this one. Yes, I'm here in Virginia, and I voted for Biden. We had a conversation. Okay. I have never been a Bernie Sanders fan. I'm from Generation X. I have a daughter who's 24, who's a millennial. She supports Bernie. I don't support Bernie. The reason why I don't support Bernie, for one, he's too emotional. And when a person is emotional, they make erratic decisions. Just by watching you.
And Biden's not emotional.
Hold on. No.
I have been listening to you guys. With all due respect, I have been listening to you guys and just listening.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Just hear me out.
Go ahead.
He's emotional. He's all over the place. And when you're looking for someone to make decisions, you need someone who is going to be in a sound mind. Not that Joe Biden. Let me finish saying what I'm saying. Not that Joe Biden is the best person. What I like about Joe Biden, he has the experience. And people can say what they want about the 94 crime bill. They can say whatever he wants to say about him lying in South Africa. You have to look at the job the man has. The man is a politician. And when you're a politician, you're doing things that politicians do. And he has made some mistakes. He has admitted to that. So when we're talking about someone who's going to come in and who's going to beat Trump in 2020, Biden is going to be the person to do it. This stuff that Bernie is talking about with all of this, where's he getting all this money from to do everything? No, it's not funny. Where is Bernie getting all of this money from to do all of these things that you're talking about? And you're saying Black people and how they're disproportionately on Social Security. Where's all the money coming from? To me, you're not making no sense. The student loan debt, none of this stuff. You have to be realistic. Mm-hmm. While I'm not in politics, that is
no. Take your time. I'm listening.
No, we had this conversation at work. It was another gentleman, myself. Me and him both. We were undecided. I've been undecided because I'm not a fan of the ticket, but I know I have to do what I have to do in order to get Trump out the door. That's what I feel like I have to do. And I feel like Biden is the best person for the job. That's just my personal opinion.
So let me ask you a very basic question. You asked how is he going to pay for it? He's been asked that question several times. He posted on his website his entire funding mechanism for how he's going to pay for it. And many scholars have looked at it and see that the numbers bear out. He has openly said that he would raise taxes progressively. The rich would disproportionately pay. He said he would cancel out the student loans and pay for education, but by taxing Wall Street speculation. Now, I don't know if you know what that means. What that means is every single time that a trade is made, so that means one person buys a stock or sells it, every other country in the world, by the way, America's the only place that doesn't, has a small, modest tax for those trades. Because it's like when you buy stock, it's like when you buy a bag of potato chips at a grocery store, right? Mm-hmm. You pay 99 cents plus what? Tax, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When you buy a stock and say Coca-Cola, you don't pay that tax. So all he was going to do was put a very small, and we're talking about pennies, on every single trade. That would have paid to pay all student loan debt and would have paid for college education going forward. In addition to this, he also said how he was going to raise money for healthcare was he was going to raise taxes across the board unless you made less than $29,000. He also explained, however, that you already pay a tax right now for your healthcare. You just pay it to an insurance company. So when I don't know if you get you sound like you work at a professional job. So you probably have your healthcare through your employer.
And
What you also notice,
I do. I work for a health insurance company, so I'm very
okay,
aware.
great. And every 2 weeks when they pay you, you notice that there's money taken out of your check for your health insurance. So you're already paying that tax. That number, by the way, would have gone down under his plan because what he would have done is, because of the fact that all of the waste of the insurance companies, all of those things would have gone away, the overall cost of healthcare would have gone down, which means you would have actually now, even with the tax increase, would have paid less for healthcare. So he already told you how he was going to pay for it. And by the way, everyone looked at it and can't dispute the numbers. That's why if you ever notice, everyone who talks bad about Bernie Sanders never, ever, ever dispute the policy itself, nor dispute how he's going to pay for it. They just say it's bad. Now, hold on. And then there's another half of what you said. You said an electability thing. Okay. How is a man who doesn't know the difference between his wife and his sister, going to beat Donald Trump? Oh, and by the way, can you tell me a Joe Biden policy? Has Biden actually said anything that he plans to actually do that's different than what's happening right now? Okay. The answer is you can't actually tell me a Biden policy because he's notorious for the fact that he actually has not put out any policy. Matter of fact, all he said is we're going to return back to the status quo. The same status quo that caused people to vote for Donald Trump in the first place. So you think he's going to go and say, hey, everybody who voted for Donald Trump because of the bad trade deals that cost you your jobs and the fact that all of the ways that the economy has not been working for you, we're going to go back to that system. You're telling me that the guy who voted for Donald Trump is going to say, well, I just voted for Donald Trump because I didn't like the status quo. I guess I'm going to go vote for the status quo, especially to a guy who is clearly dealing with early stage dementia. Also, you mentioned experience. Bernie Sanders has been has been in politics for 40 years, exact same amount of time as Joe Biden. They have the exact same amount of experience. Also, in addition to this, let's go ahead and add this last part. You said that Bernie Sanders is emotional. He's notorious for how unemotional he is about the fact that he is too rigid, too straightforward, too direct. Matter of fact, one news pundit on MSNBC, which I'm going to guess you watch, said one of Bernie Sanders' problems is that he's too honest. So you said that he's emotional. I really would like for you to justify that. Give me an example of how he's been emotional. Because I could give you an example of Joe Biden calling a woman a dog-faced pony soldier, telling other people who disagreed with it, people asking him basic questions, you should go for somebody else. Okay? So that's what Joe Biden's done. Joe Biden has been very emotional throughout this entire thing. On the other side, Bernie Sanders has been asked the same ridiculous questions over and over again. He answers them over and over again. And it's you as a Biden supporter can probably tell me more Bernie Sanders policies than you can tell me the policies that have been promised by the guy you just voted for, because the guy you just voted for has not actually said any policies.
Well, with all due respect, I like to listen and I like to learn, and you were actually stating out some good facts. However, when I go back to Bernie, when I say that Bernie is actually emotional, whenever he does interviews, it's a person's, how can I say it, their delivery. When you're coming across and you're trying to get your message across, I can't take his message in for whatever interview. And that's for me. And I look at myself as being a woman. I'm emotional, and I feel like Bernie is just as emotional as I am. We all are passionate about certain things, but when you're a person who's going to lead the country, we need you to pull all of that together as far as what I'm saying.
Okay, justify that. Give me an example of when he's been emotional, because I could give you at least 5 or 6 examples in the past, just during this primary, of when Biden's been emotional.
And I want to go.
Just give me an example.
And I want to go, and I will give you an example. But just like when you say about Joe Biden and the things that he's called women dog face, he said this, he said that. You've just sat here on the program and you said some horrible things about people who are gay, but no one is holding you accountable. Or
I said a person is gay is a faggot because that's what they've been called for a long time. I guess you can't call gay people faggots anymore. So gay people.
But I'm just saying what
I didn't call gay people faggots.
I'm just saying the terminology and things that you were using. So I completely,
right, but again, this is not about me. This is about
I'm
you.
trying to use it as an example as far as him being a politician. That's his job. Well, what he did was not right, but he has also done things for women. As far as myself being a victim previously, with domestic violence, Joe Biden has done a lot of things with making sure women in domestic violence rights and stuff are impacted. He has done a lot of those things. Imagine,
what can you give me a piece of legislation? I'll take any piece of legislation. No, I'm saying because you're saying he's helped women in domestic violence. By the way, every politician, Democrat and Republican, has done some kind of domestic violence legislation. That is the one area that just about every politician agrees with. Domestic violence is bad, and we should protect women. But saying Joe Biden has signed some domestic violence legislation is that's good. Yeah. That's like saying woke Bishop drank water today, and that's good. Lou Major drank water today, that's good. Everybody drinks water. But I'm trying to be understanding here. But you have made it again. You made a statement, which is that Bernie Sanders is too emotional. Okay, now keep this in mind. This is a guy who's had the same principles going all the way back to the 1960s and has receipts. That means he's been saying the same thing on a consistent basis for over 40 years. How unemotional is that? That means this is what I actually believe. I believe this. The rest, when he was saying this stuff when it was unpopular, when people thought he was crazy, and now people are starting to agree with him. That's actual leadership. So, for example, the guy who started Starbucks, when he started Starbucks, everybody said nobody's going to pay $5 for a cup of coffee. But he pushed on it, and then now everybody's paying $5 for a cup of coffee. The world he pushed that guy pushed the rest of society towards how he thinks. That means he's a great leader. Bernie Sanders has pushed America to how he sees the world, that everybody should have $15 the minimum wage. That's now popular legislation. When he came out with it, people said it was crazy. Universal health care. Yeah. He pushed America towards that. Now it's the most popular legislation. Free college education. When he was saying that, people thought he was crazy. That's leadership. What he's actually shown with his record is that he's an actual leader. So he doesn't actually have anything he doesn't have legislation, for example, to apologize for, because he's been right all along. The rest of the world is catching up to him.
Right, I hear what you're saying, brother, but no one is right all the time. Again,
I didn't say he was right all the time. I'm saying his policies, the policies that he stands on, that he's running on, has been correct, has been the right policies the whole time. And even when people were telling him he is crazy, he is stupid, that's ridiculous. Why he's insane. These are unrealistic, right? Nobody's gonna believe that. When everybody was laughing at him, he was saying this is right. So if anything, it showed that he's the opposite of emotional, because an emotional person, when they're getting ridiculed that way, would have conceded, like, say, Elizabeth Warren. He did not. He said, no, this is right. I'm going to stand with this. Okay. So where's the emotionalism when a guy when it wasn't popular, he was a Jewish white guy in Chicago going to the University of Chicago and went to jail for black people fighting for their housing rights. Joe Biden didn't do that. Joe Biden was doing deals with segregationists. So you're saying he's emotional? Well, he's been fighting for your interest when he took licks for you. He went to jail for you when he was at University of Chicago. We had no reason to do that, but he did. In 1988, when Jesse Jackson was running, you know who was the only white politician who endorsed him and campaigned with him? You guessed it. Bernie Sanders.
And that, okay.
Okay, Joe Biden don't have those types of receipts. Matter of fact, when Bernie Sanders, when he sided with Jesse Jackson, people said that is political suicide. He did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. Biden didn't do that.
Okay. What still? You
So you're saying to me he's emotional. You said he's emotional. So how is he emotional when he has ideas that he believes are correct and stands through scrutiny for over 40 years, pushing those same ideas, saying that's what I think is right.
You can
and
push
the rest of America caught up to him.
Right. And again, you can push through something for 40 years, but if your presentation isn't appropriate, it's still not going to come across the way that it should.
Okay, so tell me about Biden's presentation.
Hold on one second. All right, CEO, go ahead real quick. CEO.
Yeah, I can barely hear you. The reception might be bad, so I'm gonna test this out, Lil.
Go ahead.
Can you understand what I'm saying? Can you hear what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
So one thing I wanted to ask is, when it comes to like the situation when I first listened in, and the brothers talking about African Americans and what we're doing this and where we're doing this, and then the conversation's all about the election. And I'm trying to figure out if somebody really understands and wants to confront African Americans about what we're doing here in America. How does the election matter? Anybody who's really hip to the situation knows these elections, they don't really matter who you vote for. The percentage of our people who have no clue of the political game and how it's played and what's really going on in this system. The politics don't matter. Who we vote for don't matter. The fact that we have a percentage of our population who still have hope in the system, who are some part of some interest group or trying to get our people to vote. P. Diddy last time was getting everybody in. Steve Harvey that stuff don't matter. What is it? It don't matter. Who cares if it's Joe Biden or the next man? It wouldn't matter. Whoever they vote for, none of these people would do anything for us. None of these people would have any effect to change. So when you kind of confront black folk about what we doing, what we not doing, what does it matter about a Joe Biden? Like what's it matter? Who could we vote for that would make a change? That would matter. Like
Bernie Sanders.
Matter. You can't confront us about a Joe. Bernie, he's still in the White House, man. That system is under control. That's the white man's whole system. That's not our government.
Okay, man,
that's not our political system.
This guy's too stupid to talk to. Just next this guy. This guy's a doofus. Next guy. This guy
you sound like a clan. Answer the situation. Whoever we vote for, what is it going to make a change in as far as gentrification? What's it going to make a change as far as how we getting cheated?
If you've been listening, I just told you how I would have made a change.
Ain't going to do nothing for us.
No, listen.
You sound like a fool. You sound like a fool as soon as somebody get on here and come at you with a real perspective.
No,
bro.
man,
the political system has never been a bridge for us. It'll never make no change for us. The first thing you want to do is yell out stupid. You sound ignorant, fool. You sound
I'm
ignorant.
not
You ain't
ignorant.
even on
I
the
actually know the
battlefield. You don't even know what
bro.
it's like out here, man. And you ain't proof that you ignorant. It's the first time a man asks a real question, you go to name calling like a little bitch. Man, I'm asking you a straight up question.
The reality is what it would have made. The difference it would have made for you is look, nobody is going to do anything specifically for black people because you don't have any economic or real social power. However, you had a guy who was offering you policies that would have fairly quickly, by the way, not within a generation, but in an immediate, midterm, and long term, would have given you a pathway to gaining that power.
Man, you sound scripted, bro. Whenever you talk about the political system when it comes to black folk, that system is on from the top to the bottom. We ain't gonna get no traction going through the political system. You're talking about Congress and senators, bro. We're not talking about just whoever's gonna sit in the seat for the next 4 to 8 years. We system put in place and set in stone in this country on this land, bro. You talking clown shit. It's not even for black folk.
That's the whole point. He's a threat to the system. He's going to
our history. If you knew our legacy, you would know that.
Yeah, I know that. I know your history. Everyone knows your history. You talk about it all the fucking time. Everybody knows.
You can't get system, bro.
Okay, so how about this? Okay, so you're not getting any change to the system. Fair enough. So what are black Americans doing to change their situation right now? Are you willing to take to the streets? Are you willing to die? Are you willing to go to jail? Are you willing to put? Are black Americans?
talking about, bro. Your brothers in this system,
bro. I grew up in America,
man. Because you talking about.
You wouldn't smack me, bro.
Yeah. No. This is going. This is going. All right. See, we appreciate it, bro. We appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, let's go on to the next guy.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I mean, let me see if you got anybody else. Yeah, that's it, brother. That's it. That's it. Yeah, brother. Well, Lou Major, go ahead and close out. We'll go ahead and close out. I'm about to eat dinner.
Hey,
thank you for joining, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. Go to dynasty.com, all that good stuff. Whoever super chatted, thank you for the super chat. Go ahead, Lou Major. Go ahead and close out.
Again, man. First of all, I want to say I appreciate the young woman who came on from Virginia who explained the perspective. I'll be honest, I really still don't fully get it, but at least she gave an explanation as in I guess black people genuinely believe that Joe Biden is more electable than Bernie Sanders. That again, my mind is blown. But I also will say this. I am surprised. I am profoundly surprised that, again, Black Americans, and I keep saying Black Americans because I keep wanting to say we, but Black Americans continually, when somebody comes out like myself and says, bro, this is stupid, this is dumb, we shouldn't be doing this, it becomes like, I don't get it, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell everybody on here, I live in Africa, that's true, but I grew up in America. I've been pulled over by the police. I've experienced racism. I've dealt with the institutional racism that does in fact exist. I'm never going to be one to tell people that institutional racism doesn't exist, because at the end of the day, while you may see a distinction between me and you, because my parents are from Haiti and your parents were born here, while some Black Americans may see that distinction, white cops do not see that distinction, because people need to remember that black guy who got shot dead in his home Botham Jean was not ADOS. That white cop did see a difference between him and any other Negro that she pulls over that day and harasses that day. At the end of the day, the same struggles, the same issues that Black Americans deal with, Black immigrants deal with every single day just as bad. The difference is, the only thing I'm simply saying is Black America cannot even begin to try to gain any power, any influence, or make any real change in your situation unless you actually know your own interest and fight for them. Now you'll hear people will say voting doesn't matter.
Let me stop you right there. Our interests now have been everyone else's interests overall.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. And look, man, the reality is Black America can get reparations right now, even though they don't have any power. They need to be willing to go ahead and take guns, go to the street and say, listen, you're either going to kill us or give us reparations. I guarantee you, maybe 1 million or so blacks would get shot dead in the street. I promise you that would happen. And it'd probably be a 5 to 6 year armed struggle, but I promise you would get your reparations. Now, obviously, most blacks are not willing to do that, and I'm not encouraging anybody to do that. But Malcolm X said it best. It's the bullet, or it's either a bullet or a ballot. You're either going to get changed through a bullet or the ballot, right? So that means if you're not willing to take to the streets and die for what you want, which I understand, then you need to be at least willing to vote for what you want, at the very least, or shut up. Because the reality is every day, we are flooded with Black people complaining about their situation. And I get it. The situation sucks. I've had all types of indignities that I've had to suffer because of the color of my skin, both in America and abroad. I could tell you stories. When I was in my living room, you saw a painting behind me. That is a Black painting. That is a Basquiat. And if you notice, it is all Black.
Whoa. That's a real Basquiat?
Yes. I've got a Basquiat. I've got Picasso's. I'm an art guy.
What do you do, Lou? Okay, that's another show. That's another show.
But the point that I'm trying to say to you is I'm very much pro-Black. If I didn't care about Black people, trust me, I would not be saying any of this stuff. But if you can't vote for your own interest, then you can't even begin the process of getting anything. You can't begin the process of getting reparations. You can't begin the process of getting anything. People are told, I just heard this woman, and I appreciate her honesty, just honestly said that Bernie Sanders is emotional.
More emotional than
And,
Biden.
and here's the deal. She was serious. She really believes that. And, you know, I respect to a certain extent that she believes that. Because at the very least, that's what she honestly believes. But it does bother me that that's how we think, man. Like I keep saying that's how Black Americans think. Like, I'm not gonna vote for the guy who has policies that will benefit me, my children, my children's children, and generations to come. I'm not gonna vote for this guy because I don't like the way he says stuff. And I tell you something else, man. 2016 and 2020 shows you a very distinct difference between poor white people and poor black people or black people. Because you know what? Donald Trump, he said things the wrong way too. He did things the wrong way too. But those white people, those white folks out in Appalachia didn't give a fuck about how he said it. They said what he's saying makes sense to me, and I think he's gonna help me. So I don't give a fuck if he's grabbing women by the pussy. I don't give a fuck if he has women saying this about him. I don't give a fuck about any of that. What he's saying is going to help me, but we're going to go ahead and not vote for a guy who's going to help us because we don't like the way he says things. I don't understand that. And like I said, man, you could turn on any black media, Madame Noir, Dorut, Roland Martin, Karen Hunter. The list goes on and on and on. And all it's about is black victimizations, how blacks are being victimized. Over and over and over again, you hear the same thing. Then at some point, we got to ask the question, are you tired of being a victim? Are you tired of being a victim? Are we as black men tired of the fact that our women do not respect us because we can't provide for them or protect them? Because a lot of us are in jail for over trumped up drug charges because of the 1994 crime bill. A lot of us are swimming in debt from student loans that we can't pay. A lot of us can't even go to college because we don't got the money, buried in medical debt. And so we can't provide for our families. We can't build our communities. And so our women don't respect us. Are you tired of that? Because I don't understand anymore. I don't understand because I'm gonna tell you something. There's gonna be repercussions from this election.
Like go into detail, and then we'll close out about the repercussions. Go unpackage that.
Because here's what's gonna happen.
Go ahead.
You have the Latino community who figured it out. They voted for Bernie. You have young Americans who figured it out and they voted for Bernie. You have poor working class whites who split from Trump and they voted for Bernie. The only people who stopped this from happening will be black people. Will have been black people. And when everybody else is crushed with student loan debt, just like you, when Social Security gets cut, when all of the things that are in process of happening actually do happen, Social Security gets cut, the healthcare system continues to be the way that it is, and people are suffering, people are going to remember that we had a shot to actually change this, or at least try. And the niggas were too dumb to help make it happen. Because let me tell you something. If black people get behind Bernie, Bernie will be the next president of the United States.
So you really think Bernie could beat Donald Trump?
I know Bernie could beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump says Bernie could beat Donald Trump. Trump literally says, hey, there's recordings of him saying, I was scared that Hillary Clinton was going to pick Bernie Sanders as the VP, and I don't think I would have won. Donald Trump has literally said that the only person that I could see beating me is Bernie Sanders.
But you know what's crazy, Lou Major? Democrats would rather see Donald Trump win versus Bernie Sanders win.
Exactly. That's the entire point. They would rather see Donald Trump win than Bernie Sanders win, because at the end of the day, all they care about is their power and their money. They don't give a shit about you. So the guy who I said was stupid, who started talking violent, he was right in the sense of saying that the system doesn't matter, and he's right, because the establishment Democrats don't give a fuck about blacks, and obviously Republicans don't give a fuck about blacks. The fact that the establishment was so desperate to stop Bernie Sanders, that alone should have piqued your interest, because that would have meant that that's a real guy who could really actually wreck the system. you know, the system that oppresses you,
Right.
the system that you complain about all the time, right? The system that led to Jim Crow and slavery, that very system that causes you to be bogged down right now, that is the very system that Bernie Sanders is actually trying to dismantle, and was trying to put a ethnic working class coalition together. And he's the only one who didn't take big money. He's backing up what he says. Hasn't taken a dollar from any bank or anybody else. He's relying completely on the people, so he's only accountable to the people. And so the reality is had Bernie Sanders had the black support, he would have been the first candidate in history to have overwhelming black support, Latino support, and white support. He would have won the next election by a landslide. Donald Trump does not have Latino support. Donald Trump does not have black support. He only has poor white support, and that was getting stifled from Bernie Sanders. It would have been a landslide victory. We're talking 400 electoral college votes. He probably would have flipped Texas. It would have been a slaughter. And yet, you believe the very people who've been oppressing you, who wrote bills and legislation to put you in jail, that you shouldn't vote for this guy. You should vote for this senile guy over here who can't tell the difference between his wife and his sister. That's the guy who's going to beat Donald Trump. And I just have one last question for all the people who say that Biden's the guy to beat him. What happens when he gets smashed by Donald Trump in November? What are you going to say then? What are you going to say? The lady who voted for Bernie Sanders saying he's the guy who could do it. When he gets smashed by Donald Trump in November, what are you going to say? Because I'm going to tell you one thing. You're not going to get another Bernie Sanders for at least one generation. At least. The last time you had a Bernie Sanders was FDR. That was the 1930s. Are you ready? Are you really ready to wait 90 years for another shot?
I don't think black people will really exist. By
the time black people have an opportunity to vote for Bernie Sanders again, black people won't even be here. Because the last time somebody came out talking like Bernie Sanders was right after the Great Depression in the 1930s with FDR. And I'm gonna ask one last question. Who would Dr. Martin Luther King endorse if he was alive today? Whose policies right now matches well with Dr. Martin Luther King's policies? Go look it up if you don't believe me. Well, it's Bernie Sanders. Dr. Martin Luther King, before he died, was talking about universal health care, universal free education. Those same policies that Bernie's been fighting for, Dr. King, the leader of the civil rights movement, was fighting for those same pieces of legislation. Do you really think that Dr. King would have gotten behind Joe Biden? So it's your choice. And African Diaspora News Channel, you're absolutely right. Either black folks leave this place in mass or to the continent or perish. That is absolutely true. Reality is most black people would not be very useful to the continent because most black people are workers. They're not entrepreneurs. So the ones that are going to stay here, which is a majority, if we want to get them to the place where they can go to the continent and be productive, they got to at least while they're here, figure out their own interest, fight for those interests, get themselves set up and do something. And in the meantime, people like you, Dynas, people like myself, which is why I'm in Africa, by the way, because I realized very quickly, you know what? I've got skills and I'm smart enough to go ahead and put people to work. Why not put my own people to work? So I left America and came to Africa, and I build businesses and I give people jobs. So that person saying I'm not in the struggle, I am in the struggle because I'm actually here giving black people jobs. But not everybody has the education level that I do, and I understand that. But those that don't, at the very least, learn your own fucking interest. If you can't identify your own interest, what's the point? Why is Dynas doing this? Like, what's the point? Why is the Africa Diaspora News Channel doing this? I watched this guy's show. He's really good. He's got over 1 million followers. I respect the shit out of him. He's out in Houston, Texas. That's a real dude right there. He's a legitimate dude. And he does, and I see this guy. You could see the frustration on his face sometimes when he comes on and he has to say another story about how black people are getting abused. I could tell that motherfucker's tired of that shit. You could tell, okay? And at the end of the day, why does he have to constantly do that? Why can't he get on and start talking about black people fighting for their own self-interest? And for the lady who says she can't take me seriously, while I'm sitting here smoking a cigar, I smoke a Cuban cigar every single day, midday, and it's midday here. I do that and I drink a cup of coffee to get me through the rest of the day. It was simply the timing of when your thing came on, and I wanted to continue to smoke my Cuban. It is part of my daily ritual. But if that somehow offended people, I apologize. Please don't focus on the cigar and focus on what I'm saying. That's it. That's all I got, man.
Man, thank you so much, bro. This was a very dynamic show, brother. You know, we always, even though sometimes people don't agree with your delivery, I agree with the message. You know, a lot of people just want to disagree to disagree, but I agree with the majority of what.
Let me tell you something, Dynas. Those people who are quote unquote disagreeing with me, they don't disagree with me. They know I'm right. They just don't want to hear it. That's why they go to a personal attack.
Listen, even Kala today, Kala Genesis even agreed with you today.
Kala Genesis genuinely cares about black people. Listen, I don't actually have a negative view of Kala Genesis. I actually respect Kala because he cares about black people. I just think that he's misinformed in some things, but most people are misinformed in something. But at the very least, you got to respect the man because he's doing something. He's trying. Mm-hmm. He may not have all the facts, but he's trying. Right. So God bless him for that. Now, was he right about what he said about Bernie Sanders last night? Hell no. But he probably doesn't really understand the whole dynamics of of politics. He probably didn't know the policy. He's just misinformed. But at the very least, he's trying. And you could understand the frustration of why you might get a Halep Sim, why he's so mad, why Kala's so mad, why the Africa Diaspora News Channel, why these people get frustrated because you keep trying to tell a lot of our brothers and sisters this stuff. And instead of hearing what you're saying, they'll get mad. Well, here's the deal, man. You could get mad all you want. But the fact of the matter is, you have to have a special conversation with your son and daughter about how to deal with the police because you're afraid of them getting shot. Other people don't have to do that.
Yeah, no need to have that conversation in Africa.
Listen, not every black American would be particularly useful in Africa because Africa has enough workers. They need entrepreneurs. And unfortunately, a lot of our people right now, I don't think this is permanent, but a lot of African Americans are workers. They're not entrepreneurs. Look, African Americans are too scared to vote for somebody who's fighting for their interests because they don't think he can win. I'm gonna put something out there just so you guys remember this. And I know a lot of black people don't know this, but in 2008, when Barack Obama ran, in the beginning, most black people weren't behind Barack Obama. They were behind Hillary Clinton because they didn't think he could win. Black people didn't get behind Barack Obama until he won New Hampshire. And it started becoming clear that he was the front runner. And that's when black people jumped on board. Up until that point, black folks were behind Hillary Clinton. Black people never get behind. They're always scared. They're always fearful. They are fear-driven people. And that's fine. I understand to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, what has being scared all the time gotten you? It's gotten you to the point where you're the laughing stock of the world. They're teaching your kids to be effeminate. They've imprisoned a large portion of your men. You have a lot of lonely 30 women, black women over 30, beautiful black women who are smart, who's got a lot to offer to a certain extent. A lot of them can't get a man because there's not enough. There's not enough because a lot of them are in jail. An education system that literally targets them to fail. Like the reality is, you're getting fucked in every single way, and pretty soon you're going to be getting fucked literally by the white man and the white woman. Literally. The white man's going to be fucking the black man and fucking the black woman, and the black man and the black woman are going to be doing it voluntarily because you're letting them teach your children to be effeminate. So at the end of the day, you can't co-sign your own oppression. If somebody wants to oppress you, you can't do anything about that. but you damn sure could do something about your ability, about co-signing it and helping it along. What I see right now in Black America is an entire industry worth billions of dollars on Black victimization, where you have guys like who have TV.
The major, you got to include the music. Oh my God,
it's all about Black victimization, and I'm saying to you, white people aren't making you do that, and they're not, man. They're not making you wallow in your own self-pity. Yes, white people are racist, but to also be fair, they're racist to everybody. Look at how white people are talking about Chinese people with the coronavirus right now. White people would love nothing more than to see China fail, for no other reason than the fact that it's China and the fact that they're rich. Do you know how much white people do racist shit against Chinese all the time? If you know Chinese history, white people have done some fucked up shit to the Chinese. They've surrounded the entire country of China with missiles, nukes to blow the whole country up at any given moment in time. So white people are racist to everybody. Now, they have been particularly brutal to Black people, but at the same time, they're racist to everybody. You could either spend all your time being a victim and feeling sorry for yourself, or you could say, you know what? I'm going to do me now. I'm going to build my own institutions. I'm going to build my own schools. I'm going to build my own communities. I'm going to build my own shit. I'm going to grow my own food. I'm going to buy my own clothes. So if you don't want me, if Gucci doesn't want my money, that if Gucci's going to make shirts that make me look like monkeys, well, I'm not going to buy Gucci anymore. That's fine. I'm cool with that. I'm going to go buy Carl Kanai. I'm going to go build another food.
Shout out to Carl Kanai, everybody. Hold on. Shout out to Carl Kanai. Hold on. Carl Kanai, everybody got Carl Kanai sweatpants on. Carl Kanai. Shout out.
Right on, brother. Right on.
Go ahead.
We need more of that. We could build our own shit. Nobody's stopping us from doing that. And I damn sure am not going to voluntarily disarm, right? I'm definitely not going to get behind a party that tells me to voluntarily disarm when my people are 55 years outside of apartheid. Every Black household should have a gun in it, a legal gun in it. You live in a place that people don't like you, where police shoot you in the streets. You should be armed legally. So, look, man, Black Americans could go ahead and hate me. You could talk about my country all you want. You could say whatever you want to try to justify yourself. That's fine. But at the end of the day, this is on you. This one is definitely on you. And another thing, a Nigerian brother said on your show a couple weeks ago, he said, look, man, you hear about how Black people were getting thrown in jail for crack in one particular community, and 20 years later, that means one generation, these same types of people are getting thrown in jail for the same crimes. And it's true. If you look at a map and you look at crime from 25 years ago, one generation before, and then another generation before, it's the same crime. That means in these communities, these Black communities, nothing is changing. That means what that says is Black Americans are doing nothing to change their situation. Nothing. At what point does it stop being the white man's fault and it starts being your fault? There's an old joke. The African Diaspora news channel put up a story about this young Black woman, 21 years old, beautiful Black girl, opened up a beauty salon in her community. They went in, tried to rob her, and killed her. Then they went and killed her. Did the white man do that, or did Black people do that?
Did they find the people that did it?
I have no idea. I didn't continue to follow the story. I'll admit that, because I was like, another Negroes killing another person trying to do something. Did the white man make another Black man kill Nipsey Hussle, who was building businesses in his community? No, that was Black people who made that decision. So at some point, we need to start pointing the finger at ourselves and start acknowledging that we are fucking ourselves over, man. We are doing this to ourselves. And at some point, it has to stop. It has to stop. The excuses have to stop. And me coming here and saying this to you, and you start attacking my family's home country, man, you don't know shit about Haiti. Right? And most of the people who are saying shit about Haiti don't know a goddamn thing about Haiti. They just know it's poor. Most of the people are saying don't go to Africa. Have never.
But Lumasia, guess what? George Zimmerman is just doing just fine.
Exactly. You're gonna kill. Our people will kill Nipsey Hussle. Our people will kill a 21-year-old black girl who opens a salon. But George Zimmerman can go ahead and kill Trayvon Martin, then sue the family for $100 million.
Listen,
and he's alive.
Autographs, Skittle. I will talk about it. Luke, let's go ahead and close out, man. It's just
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, man, I said my piece, man. I really came on really because I really wanted to understand. And you know what? I appreciate that woman from Virginia because at the very least she gave me an answer. She was the only person who came on and gave an answer, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I think you're wrong, but I appreciate the fact that you were brave enough to defend that decision. You know, I appreciate that you did that. Thank you.
Guys, with that being said, everyone, thank you for joining us. Go to dynastymirror.com, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, family. Peace.